we have to start with the mud. I mean, before we get to the jazz, before we get to the grocery store, and certainly before we get to the heist.
They have to start with the mud.
Exactly. Picture this. It's June 1972. We were in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. It is this incredibly miserable construction site.
Right.
It's loud, it's chaotic, you have machinery grinding gears, and they are digging up a lot on Hayes Street to build some new townhouses.
And right at the bottom of an old, just completely forgotten wall, the workers hit something hard.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't a rock.
No, it was a skeleton.
Which immediately throws us into this very cinematic cold case territory. I mean, it sets the stakes right away.
Yeah, 100%. The state troopers come in, right? They fish out the bones, but they also find these very specific, very strange items along with the body.
Yeah, there is a belt buckle. There is a pendant with strange writing on it. Hebrew characters, actually.
Right, a mezuzah.
And there's these threads, these rotten threads, from what looks like a red costume.
A red costume. Which is just, it's bizarre. It sounds like something out of a carnival or a theater production.
It's incredibly specific. So naturally you're thinking, okay, crime scene, forensics, investigation. Who is this person? Was it a murder, a tragic accident?
But then the very next day, the universe intervenes. Or maybe something bigger than the universe.
Hurricane Agnes.
Hurricane Agnes. And we aren't talking about, a heavy rainstorm here. This was a biblical deluge.
The Schuylkill River rises 7 feet.
Homes are swept away. Factories are knocked down. And that construction site, that well, it is completely washed out.
Which is just wild when you think about it. The evidence, the crime scene, what the locals might call the white man's proof, it's all erased. Just like that.
Gone. The investigation ends before it can even really start.
And that is exactly where our story actually begins. Because that ending, that act of nature covering up a body, is the frame for the incredible mystery we're unpacking today.
Right. Who was in the well? Why did an entire community keep the secret for 40 years?
And how did a group of marginalized outcasts band together to pull off the absolute impossible?
So today we are doing a deep dive into the intricate, heartbreaking, and frankly hilarious world of the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride.
And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how this community, a place called Chicken Hill, managed to defeat a really powerful enemy using love as their primary weapon.
Which sounds cheesy, I know, when you say love.
It does sound a bit cheesy. But in this book, love is basically a gladiator sport. It's gritty, it's dangerous.
It really is. It's a book that feels like a living, breathing organism. It's messy, it's loud, it's tragic. But before we get back to the skeleton in the web, we have to understand the world that put it there.
Right, we have to talk about Chicken Hill.
Because the setting here isn't just a backdrop, it's basically the main character.
So paint the picture for us. We're in Pottstown in the 1920s and 30s. What does Chicken Hill actually look like?
If you were standing there, you'd probably smell it before you saw it. And I don't mean that as an insult, but as a testament to the sheer density of life there.
Yeah.
This isn't the wealthy part of town down the hill where the white Christian establishment lives with their paved roads and sidewalks. Chicken Hill is ramshackle.
Dirt roads that turn to absolute soup when it rains.
Exactly. Open sewers, no running water in the houses. It's physically a very bleak place.
It basically sounds like a shantytown.
In many ways it was, but socially, it's electric. It is a melting pot of the unwanted.
You have immigrant Jews from Eastern Europe, Romanians, Lithuanians,
living literally side by side with African Americans who have come up from the South during the Great Migration.
Which is a dynamic you really don't often see portrayed in history books. We usually see these groups in total isolation.
Right, you get the Jewish story in New York, the Black story in the South, or Chicago.
But here, they are neighbors. They're borrowing sugar from each other. They're arguing over fence lines.
They are united by exclusion. They are the other. They are living on the margins of white Christian America. And they formed this uneasy but deeply woven tapestry of survival.
And sitting right in the center of this melting pot are two of the most memorable characters I think I've ever encountered. Moshe and Chona Ludlow.
Ludlows. They are the absolute heartbeat of the hill. Let's break them down because they represent two very different ways of dealing with that exclusion we just talked about.
Let's start with Moshe.
So Moshe is a Romanian Jewish immigrant. He owns a theater. And Moshe is a dreamer. He believes in the American dream with a capital D.
He wants to integrate.
Yes, he wants to be successful. He wants to move downtown to the nice avenues where the doctors and lawyers live.
He wants to be accepted. He wants to shed the immigrant label and just be an American.
He craves it. And ironically, he finds that success in a way that alienates the white establishment even more.
Right.
He owns this theater, the All-American Dance Hall and Theater, but he's really struggling until he makes a radical decision for the time. He opens his doors to black customers.
And not just customers. He books black jazz acts. I mean, we're talking absolute legends here. Chick Reb, Count Basie.
Which was a massive risk in a town like Pottstown in the 1930s. You have to remember the racial tension of the era. The Klan was very active.
Segregation was the norm.
Even if it wasn't always explicitly written in law in the North like it was in the South, it was culturally enforced, brutally so.
But Moshe sees the joy in the music. He sees the humanity in his neighbors. And let's be honest, he sees the business opportunity.
Precisely. Because the black community on Chicken Hill needed a place to go, and they had money to spend on entertainment just like anyone else.
There's this great line in the book where he realizes that cripples have brought him fortune.
That's a really jarring phrase to modern ears.
It is, yeah. Very jarring.
But in the context of his mind, he's connecting the dots between the marginalized people who saved him. He's referring to Moses from the Bible, who had a speech impediment.
Oh, wait.
He's referring to Chick Webb, the drummer who had a severe spinal curvature from tuberculosis. And he's referring to his own wife, Chona.
Let's talk about Chona. Because if Moshe is the ambition of the book, Chona is the soul. She is the gravity that holds the moral universe of the story together.
Without a doubt. Chona is a force of nature wrapped in a broken body. She's a polio survivor, so one of her legs is shorter than the other.
She wears this special boot. She moves with a limp.
But her physical limitations don't stop her at all. She runs the titular Heaven and Earth grocery store.
But she runs it terribly. I mean, from a business perspective at least, any MBA student looking at her ledger would just have a heart attack.
Oh, it's a disaster financially. The store loses money constantly.
Why? Because she gives credit to everyone.
Exactly. If you're hungry, you eat. If you can't pay, she writes it in a book. And the thing is, she often loses the book. Or ignores the book.
Or just forgets to collect the money entirely.
She is truly colorblind in a time when that was deeply dangerous. Black, white, Jewish, Gentile, if you were on the Hill, you were her people.
There is this fascinating tension between Moshe and Chona regarding where they belong. Moshe wants to move downtown. He wants to buy a nice house, leave the dirt roads behind, go where the real Americans are.
He's literally looking at real estate listings.
And Chona refuses.
No.
She digs her heels in. She insists that the real Americans are right there on the hill, the people struggling, the people surviving. She completely embodies this radical concept of tikkun olam.
Yeah.
Break that term down for us, tikkun olam. It sounds ancient.
It is ancient. It's a Hebrew phrase that literally means repairing the world.
Repairing the world.
In Jewish theology, specifically in the mystic tradition of Kabbalah, there's this idea that the vessel of the universe was shattered at creation.
Okay.
And shards of divine light are scattered everywhere, often hidden in the mud and the dirt. And it is the duty of human beings to participate in fixing it.
Not just through prayer, but through action.
Exactly, through gathering those sparks.
That is just beautiful.
It really is. Chona believes her job isn't to escape the brokenness of Chicken Hill, but to stay right in the middle of it and try to fix it, one person at a time. She sees the sparks in the drunks, in the poor, in the outcasts.
Repairing the world. You have to keep that in mind because that philosophy is about to be tested in the most extreme way possible.
Right.
Because it's easy to talk about repairing the world when you're just giving away a loaf of bread. It's a lot harder when the state comes knocking. Enter Dodo.
Dodo. Real name, Holly Herring. He's a 12-year-old black boy who has already lived a lifetime of absolute tragedy. He lost his hearing and his mother in a terrible stove explosion.
So he's an orphan, he's deaf, and he's black in 1930s America. The deck isn't just stacked against him, the deck is completely missing. He is vulnerable in every conceivable way.
Completely. And the state authorities, represented by men like Carl Boydkins and the local doctor, Doc Roberts, they want to solve the problem of Dodo.
They don't view him as a child who needs help.
No, they view him as defective. They want to send him to Pennhurst.
Now, I think a lot of people might hear Pennhurst and think, oh, a boarding school, or maybe a hospital. We need to be very clear about what Pennhurst actually was.
It was a nightmare, and it was a very real place. It was a state institution for the feeble-minded and epileptic, as they called it then.
But that clinical name hides the horrific reality.
It was a warehouse for unwanted people. We're talking about severe abuse, extreme overcrowding, filth. It was a eugenics project, essentially.
The goal wasn't to cure anyone.
No, or educate them. It was to segregate these people from the gene pool entirely. If you went in, you rarely came out. It was a sentence to a living death.
So the state comes knocking to take this deaf boy to a literal house of horrors. And Chona, this woman with a bad leg and a heart the size of the moon, basically says, "Over my dead body."
She hides him. She takes him right into the grocery store, into the back room. She essentially kidnaps him from the state to save his life. And this relationship between the Jewish woman and the deaf black child becomes the emotional core of the entire book.
How do they even communicate? He can't hear. She doesn't know sign language.
They develop their own language, gestures, looks, touch. Dodo brings light into her life. He's smart, he's incredibly observant, he's funny, he helps out around the store.
And she gives him safety.
It's a beautiful example of how love transcends language and culture. He isn't a charity case to her. He's family.
But secrets on Chicken Hill don't stay secret forever, especially when you have people actively looking for them. And this brings us to the villain of our piece, Doc Roberts.
Doc Roberts is a fascinating and terrifying antagonist because he is so banal. He's not some cartoon monster with a mustache to twirl.
He's a pillar of the community.
Exactly. A doctor, a descendant of the town founders. He's the guy you wave to on the street every morning. But underneath that veneer, he is rotting. He represents the deep resentment of the old guard.
He sees the Jewish and black communities on Chicken Hill and feels what exactly?
He feels displaced. He feels like his town is being taken over by foreigners and others. He sees the success of Moshe's theater, the resilience of the black community, and he feels like his birthright is being stolen from him.
He's a member of the KKK, isn't he?
He is. He marches in the parades proudly. And on top of that general bigotry, he has this incredibly creepy, specific obsession with Chona.
From back in high school.
Yes. He felt entitled to her attention back then. She rejected him, or rather, simply ignored him, and he never got over it. He feels entitled to dominate her world now. He represents the white power structure that feels its grip slipping and becomes incredibly dangerous because of it.
So we reach the catalyst. Doc Roberts comes into the Heaven and Earth grocery store. He claims he's looking for Dodo, or maybe he's just looking to intimidate Chona. But it goes wrong.
It goes horribly wrong. He finds Chona alone. He tries to assault her. It's a moment of pure violation. It's sexual, it's violent, and it's entirely about power.
And in the sheer stress of that struggle, Chona, who has always been frail, who has high blood pressure and health issues, suffers a massive seizure.
And this is where Dodo, the boy who is supposed to be feeble-minded, the boy who is supposed to be helpless, becomes the absolute hero.
He jumped out from his hiding place.
He sees the woman who loves him being attacked, and he doesn't hesitate for a second. He attacks Doc Roberts to save Chona. He physically knocks the man down. It's an act of incredible bravery.
But because of the deeply flawed power dynamics of the time, his bravery is his undoing.
Exactly. Think about the optics in 1936. A black child striking a white doctor. There is no version of that story where the child wins in court. No one is going to listen to the deaf boy explaining he was defending a woman.
Right. And Chona can't speak for him because she's incapacitated by the seizure.
When the dust settles, Chona is hospitalized.
Yeah?
She never really recovers. She lingers for a while, but she eventually dies.
Dodo.
He's blamed for the assault. The narrative gets completely twisted by the establishment. He's chased onto the roof, captured by the police, and sent straight to the one place Chona died trying to keep him out of, Pennhurst.
It just feels like the breaking of the world. The goodness, Chona, is gone. The center cannot hold. And the innocent, Dodo, is imprisoned in hell. At this point in the book, it feels like the end, like evil has just won.
It's devastating. The reader is just crushed at this point. You think, well, that's reality. The system wins. The powerful crush the weak.
But if you know anything about James McBride's writing, you know he doesn't leave you in despair without a fight.
No, he does not.
This is where the genre of the book basically shifts. We go from a deeply moving character drama to, well, a prison break movie.
But first, we really have to talk about Pennhurst, because McBride paints a vivid, terrifying picture of what Dodo is actually enduring in there.
It's genuinely hard to read those sections. It's so visceral.
It is. Dodo is completely isolated. Imagine being deaf in a place of total chaos. The screaming, the banging against the walls, the heavy machinery. He can't hear any of it, but he can feel the constant vibration of the violence.
He's surrounded by people with severe disabilities, severe mental illness.
And sadistic guards who treat the inmates worse than cattle.
But even in that hell, he finds a connection.
He does. He meets a boy named Monkey Pants.
Monkey Pants. I love that name, even though the context surrounding it is so sad.
It's a survival name. Monkey Pants has cerebral palsy. He can't speak. His body is twisted. But he communicates with Dodo through finger spelling.
Dodo teaches him how to do it.
Yes, they form a true brotherhood. They watch each other's backs in a place where no one else will.
And they desperately need to, because there is a monster in the ward.
The Son of Man.
The Son of Man. That sounds incredibly ominous.
He's an inmate who essentially acts as an overseer for the guards. He's huge, he's violent, and the guards just let him do whatever he wants to keep the other inmates in line.
He rules the ward with absolute terror.
So Dodo is fighting a war on two fronts here. The institution itself and the internal, brutal hierarchy of the prisoners.
Now, while Dodo is fighting for his life on the inside, outside, the community is grieving. Chona is dead. The store is closed up.
But that grief quickly turns into action. The Black community of Chicken Hill decides that the only way to truly honor Chona, this woman who fed them, who loved them, is to finish her work.
They have to save the boy.
And this is exactly where the low gods assemble.
I love this term, the low gods. It sounds so mythological. Break that down for us. What does it mean?
It is mythological in a very real sense. It's a reference to the Gullah Geechee culture, the people from the Deep South who have these old, deep spiritual connections.
Right.
In the context of the book, the low gods are the invisible people. The janitors, the cooks, the gossip mongers, the ditch diggers.
The people who actually keep society running but are completely overlooked by the white power structure.
Precisely. They are the gears that no one sees turning. And because no one sees them, they can go places no one else can go. They are the flies on the wall. They have the keys to all the back doors.
So who is on this Ocean's 11 style team of low gods?
First, you have Nate Timblin. On the surface, he's just the quiet janitor at Moshe's theater, keeps his head down, says yes sir, no sir. He sweeps the floors.
But Nate has a dark past.
He's very dangerous. He's incredibly capable, and he is fiercely loyal to Moshe and Chona.
He's the muscle, essentially, but he's also the lead strategist,
Then there's Addie, his wife.
the moral compass of the group.
She's the one who stands up and says, we cannot let this stand. She is the driving force behind the whole thing. She reminds Nate of who he truly is.
And we definitely can't forget Fatty and Paper.
Fatty runs the local juke joint, which is a speakeasy on the hill. He's cynical, he's a hustler, he's always looking for a financial angle. But when push comes to absolute shove, he's all in.
And Paper.
Paper is the town news network. She knows everything before it even happens. She knows who is sleeping with who owes money to whom. And in a situation like this, information is power.
But the real key to the whole operation, the inside advantage, is a woman named Miggy Flood.
Miggy is formidable. She works inside Pennhurst as an attendant. She's described almost like an oracle. She speaks in riddles sometimes. She has this intense, heavy presence.
And there is this incredible scene where the team is gathered, trying to figure out how to break Dodo out of a literal fortress.
And Miggy uses a sweet potato pie to map it out.
The pie strategy. I absolutely love this detail. It feels so grounded and real.
The pie strategy. She takes a knife and cuts the pie to show the wards, the fences, the exits. It's such a perfect metaphor. Using domestic, comforting imagery, a homemade pie, to plan a daring, highly dangerous heist.
The crust is the wall, she says. The filling is the ward.
So what's the actual plan? How do they get a kid out of a maximum security asylum?
It relies entirely on differing weights and measures. This is the idea that marginalized people operate on a frequency that white society simply doesn't tune into.
Right. They plan to use the steam tunnels beneath the hospital. That's infrastructure that is completely ignored by the people in charge.
But they still need a Trojan horse to get inside. They need the Eggman.
The Eggman, a delivery driver. Every single day, a cart of fresh eggs goes into the hospital kitchen. No one checks the Eggman. He's just a guy delivering breakfast.
If they can get Nate into that cart, he's in.
It's brilliant. It uses the absolute invisibility of the working class against the system that oppresses them.
Okay, let's unpack the timeline of the heist itself. It all goes down on Memorial Day weekend, 1936. Why is this specific date so important?
Because of the parade. The entire town is distracted. There's a massive parade for the Antes House, which is a local historical society thing. There are fireworks, a huge celebration.
The white establishment is basically patting itself on the back.
Exactly. They are looking up at the sky, celebrating their grand history, and this gives the team the perfect cover to look down at the dirt and get to work.
While the town is watching fireworks, Fatty and a guy named Big Soap are up on the hill digging a massive hole.
Ostensibly, they are digging up a water main to fix the supply. Or maybe steal water, depending on who you ask. The water situation on the hill was always desperate.
But really, they're creating a hazard, a trap.
They are creating a diversion for the police, but also completely unknowingly, they are setting the physical stage for the final act of justice in the story.
And meanwhile, while they're digging, Nate is descending into the belly of the beast.
He successfully infiltrates Pennhurst hidden in the Eggman's cart. He navigates the underground steam tunnels. It's claustrophobic. It's terrifying. The pipes are hissing. It's pitch dark.
And he actually finds Dodo.
He does. But it's not a clean getaway. It never is in a heist story.
The plan goes sideways.
Yeah.
They can't go back the way they came. The guards are alerted, or the exit is blocked. We won't spoil every single twist, but they find themselves trapped.
So they have to improvise on the fly. And this leads to the tanker toad.
A massive coal train.
They have to jump a moving freight train in the dark to escape. It's high-stakes, pulse-pounding action, but it's grounded in this deep, resonant emotion of a man saving a child.
Not because he has to. Not for money.
But because it's simply the right thing to do, Nate risks everything, his life, his freedom, for Dodo.
Now, while this incredible rescue is happening, while Nate and Dodo are jumping trains in the dead of night, let's check in on our villain, Doc Roberts.
It's Memorial Day. He's at the parade. He's incredibly drunk. He's just stewing in his hatred. Even though he has technically won, Chona is dead. Dodo is locked away. He doesn't feel like a winner at all.
He feels empty.
He feels like the world is leaving him behind. So he decides to wander away from the parade up to Chicken Hill.
Why? What is he even looking for up there?
Probably to feel some twisted sense of superiority, to survey his domain in a way, or maybe he's just haunted. He's stumbling around in the dark. But he has something very specific in his pocket.
The mezuzah.
The mezuzah.
Remind us what that is for anyone who might have missed it in the intro.
It's the pendant with the strange writing. It's a small case containing Jewish scripture, the Shema, that traditionally goes on a doorpost to bless the home.
But Chona, being Chona, wore one as a necklace.
And Doc Roberts stole it from her during the assault.
So he's walking around with a piece of Jewish holy scripture, a symbol of absolute protection and faith, in the pocket of his clan robes, essentially.
It's a burning symbol of his profound guilt. He has the direct evidence of his crime on his body. He literally carries the weight of his sin with him.
He's stumbling around in the dark, on the hill, drunk, angry, and he finds the hole.
The massive excavation site that Fatty and Big Soap dug to fix the water, he falls right in.
And this brings us full circle to the very beginning of the deep dive. The skeleton in the well.
Exactly. Doc Roberts falls into the well, into the hole. He breaks his neck or he drowns in the mud. He dies down there, alone. The mezuzah is with him. The belt buckle is with him.
The red threads, which we now know were part of his marching band or lodge costume from the parade, are with him.
And then the hurricane comes.
Nature finishes the job. The storm washes the dirt right over him, seals the well completely, and destroys the entire crime scene.
It's truly fascinating how McBride frames this event. Usually, a hurricane is portrayed strictly as a tragedy, but here it's something else.
Here, it's divine justice. It's a cleansing force. The narrator explicitly says the storm washed away the white man's proof.
It prevented the police from ever investigating the sudden disappearance of Doc Roberts. It protected the entire community.
Because if they had found the body the next day, the police would have torn Chicken Hill apart looking for revenge. It would have blamed Nate or Fatty or Moshe.
Instead, the mud covers the sin. It allowed the secret to stay safely buried until 1972.
And by 1972, everyone involved is long gone. The statute of limitations on the soul has essentially run out. The construction workers find the bones, but the story is already over.
So let's look at the resolution for our surviving characters. Dodo escapes.
He does. And there's a beautiful, really touching flash forward. Dodo doesn't just survive his trauma. He thrives.
He lives a very long life. He marries, he has children, he is loved, and he is safe. He eventually passes away surrounded by a huge family.
It's the exact happy ending Chona wanted for him.
And what about the greater meaning here? We started by talking about tikkun olam, the concept of repairing the world. Did they actually repair it?
In a macro sense, no. The world is obviously still broken. Racism, anti-Semitism, poverty, they certainly didn't end in 1936. Pennhurst stayed open for decades longer in real life.
But in the micro sense, absolutely. They repaired Dodo's world, and that's the ultimate point McBride is making here. You can't fix everything. The structural problems are just too big.
But you can fix the space immediately around you. You can save one child. You can love one neighbor.
The title of the book, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, it feels incredibly significant when you view it through that lens.
It really is. The store itself was just a rundown shack. It certainly wasn't heaven. But the heaven and earth wasn't about the physical building at all.
It was about the space created between people, the space between Chona and Dodo, between Nate and Moshe, between the Black community and the Jewish community.
That deep human connection, that is the heaven.
It reminds me of that idea that we are all just walking each other home in the end.
That's exactly it. And sometimes walking each other home involves digging a massive tunnel, stealing a freight train, and outsmarting the entire state government.
And burying a corrupt doctor in a well.
Well, justice comes in many different forms. Sometimes it comes in a formal courtroom, and sometimes it comes in a hurricane.
Sometimes God uses a gavel, and sometimes he uses mud.
Before we wrap up today, I want to touch on one specific character we mentioned briefly earlier, Malachi, the dancer, because he feels like he belongs in a completely different book sometimes.
Ah, Malachi. He is the mysterious figure of the story, the Jewish dancer who just shows up out of nowhere, predicts bad signs, and then disappears.
He adds this wonderful layer of mysticism to the book. He suggests that there are forces at work, deep spiritual forces, that are silently guiding all these events.
He feels almost like an angel or a prophet walking among them.
He really does. He warns Moshe about the water. He seems to know things he just shouldn't possibly know. And in the end, he's the one who escapes cleanly, leaving just a sunflower in the yard.
It keeps the story from feeling like a dry, straightforward history lesson. It adds that perfect touch of magic. It elevates the whole narrative into something almost mythic.
Chicken Hill becomes a legendary place where ordinary, overlooked people became giants or low gods for a brief, shining moment in time.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners, today? Aside from just being a cracking good story, why does this history matter right now?
I think it challenges you to look for the low gods in your own life. Who are the invisible people currently holding things together?
Who are the people quietly sweeping the floors who might actually be the bravest people in the room when it counts?
And more importantly, it challenges you to deeply examine your own definition of community.
How so?
Are you like Moshe, constantly trying to run downtown to be with the winners, trying to assimilate into a system that doesn't really want you anyway?
Or are you like Chona, choosing to stay on the hill to be with the people who actually need you, choosing to stay in the mess?
That is the ultimate question. America is here, Chona said, not downtown, here, in the dirt.
Precisely. Real community is messy. It's highly inconvenient. It involves real sacrifice. It involves taking risks for people who aren't like you. But it's the only thing that actually saves us.
If you haven't read The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride, you really need to. We've given you the plot, but we haven't given you the prose.
We haven't given you the dialogue, which is genuinely laugh-out-loud funny in so many places.
The language is incredibly rich, the humor is sharp as a knife, and the sheer humanity of it is overwhelming. It is a book that will stick with you for a very long time.
It's a masterclass in empathy. And honestly, it's just a fantastic heist novel wrapped in a sharp social commentary, wrapped in a profound love story.
A huge thank you to everyone listening to this deep dive. We hope you found some light in the incredible story of Chicken Hill.
And remember, even when the entire world feels permanently broken, there's always a little bit of repair work to be done.
See you next time.